I think for some reason, I feel like the moment, this is the first real venue that he's played in that's this celebrity sort of, historical situation for him. And I feel like it might have been too big for him at this moment. He didn't get used to it. It's going to take time. And on top of that, he's allowed to have an off night. He's been playing pretty good basketball here in the last several games. So when I look at him, I say to myself, okay, it's going to take time for him to get used to playing in certain venues, used to playing against certain competition and certain people. His shots didn't fall. I think he had 3 turnovers in the game. He had 1 block that you talked about, Skip.
Yeah.
So we didn't see the same guy that we have seen over the last several weeks. That's just what it is. He wasn't aggressive at all, in my opinion. He was very passive. He played that guard position, like you say. He didn't go down low like we talked about. He was out. He was out at the top more so often than down below.
Yep.
And so when you look at that aggressiveness just wasn't there from the last time that we saw him. And I look at it and say, I just chalk it up. It's just one game. I chalk it up.
Well, yeah, right. And let me first, because, let me just let you guys know, I have a special place for the Knicks. Because Julius Randle is on the Knicks, and that's like my godson. Julius Randle went to school with my son, with Michael, and played at Prestonwood. So we would go to all the games. Listen, dude, we would be, Skip, we would be 0-15 because Julius be hurt, right? He's hurt. And then Julius come back. We lost 30 straight and win a championship. Just so we were 30. Because Julius was everything, everything, man. He's such a great dude. And when I go to the games now, because, Key, I heard you mention him earlier, Fresh West over there, with Lon Rosen. So every time I go to a game, I say, Fresh, your ticket's no good unless my feet touch the wood. and every time at a game, Julius Randle comes over and hugs me right before the start. So Key and I, that's why we were messing around about the game the other day. Yeah. And what I saw when I watched Wemby, I thought it was interesting, because everybody's watching this kid. Everybody's watching him. When he stepped into on that floor, I said, now, the Knicks going to give him some of that Oakley treatment. And that's exactly what Mitchell Robinson was doing. It was nothing but that Oakley treatment. Everybody's going to give him this. Nobody has his physical skill set. Tall enough. He has so many different skill sets. So the only way you can play him is to make him feel like he has to go through hell. And this is the key, guys, because we're talking about one night 38, the other night, last night 14, the ups and the downs. He's not used to playing this much basketball and getting banged up this much. He'll get used to that. He'll get used to it, and it'll play out, and he'll be okay because he's a phenomenal talent. He has to run towards all of that banging and not away from it because that's all everybody can do with the kind of skill set that he has.
He's 19 years old. He's 19.
Right.
What do we expect?
Played 2 years of professional basketball in France.
I understand.
Just for the record.
I know that's true, Skip.
Right.
But the France basketball is different, than it's just different.
No, but there are a lot of exits.
Yeah, and I don't think they play as many games like the France. I'm checking. You check. I don't think they play as many games on as many back-to-back nights or as many games a week as he plays now in the NBA.
And he, it's New York, man. Come on, this is New York. It's different. It's just a different. It's different. I'm sure he was taking in the scene, right? I'm sure.
Maybe. All right, suffer me this because I can't let this go, and I will not let this go because it was worse than ever last night. This young man is so gifted, and he is so tall and so long that there is no way to stop him, even if you get physical with him, Mitchell Robinson. If he posts you up, if he gets the ball in the right place at the right time, you got no shot. It's hard to get physical with somebody when they're loitering out there on the three-point line because that's all he did the whole night. He drifted out, did Wemby, and just hang out at the three-point line. And I'm saying, what are you doing? You got to make them work. You got to make them aware of your length. You can't look in the mirror and see yourself as a two-guard because I think he does. I think he looks because he is so skilled. He can dribble between his legs. His shot motion is beautiful to watch. He made all 6 of his free throws, and I'll say it again, way to go. But he has fallen completely in love with the three-point shot, and it looks pretty when he shoots it. But he has now fallen to 29.3% from 3 while taking the most threes of any San Antonio Spur. That is wrong, wrong, wrong. At 7-4, you lead the team in three-point attempts with 41 through 8 games, and you're shooting 29.3%. Trust me, the math doesn't work because that's a whole lot of empty possessions that have something to do with why you got blown out last night. And at Indiana the other night, they gave up 152 points. And you're having little to no impact on the defensive end when our man Paul Pierce sat here before the season started and said, he could be the defensive player of the year. I think Paul predicted he would be the defensive player of the year. Well, he's got, just by standing in the lane, you got a shot. Well, he's 3rd in the NBA in blocks, but last night he had only 1 because I don't remember him in the paint at all on the defensive end. He just drifts out. He's guarding smaller players. I don't get it. I don't get the approach of it because he's so much better. This is nothing but constructive.
In his New York. In his New York, Key. He is New York, Key. All of our greats, they understand and recognize the Mecca that New York is. And even on the rise up, coming through, the LeBrons, the Kobe's, when they had that opportunity to play in New York, especially early on, they showed up and showed out. Now, man, I know he's not from here, but I understand. I just talked about how he's playing all of these games, a lot more games. But you got to know where they show up in this country. And New York is one of them. You have to show up. Even if you didn't show up, somewhere, even if you didn't show up in Phoenix, you got to show up in New York. You got to show up in New York, and he has to get that.
Skip, it's an adjustment period. I understand he played overseas in France, and there are ex-basketball players in that league that were in the NBA. I get all of that. That's true. But it's an adjustment period to understand. Pop is still, you say, well, how come he's not down on the blocks? Or how come he's not in the paint on the defensive end? Mm-hmm. He does have a coaching staff over there. They got to see the same things that you see. Maybe they're letting the process take course.
They keep saying we're going to let him play his way into this.
Exactly. So what's the rush of a fan wanting to see a finished product in not week 8, but in the 8th, 9th game? Why do you want to see a finished product in 8 games?
We're not even talking about a finished product.
Exactly.
We're talking about just this is how you have to play at your height.
But they just told you said
you got to run some plays for him to post.
But you just said they're going to let him feel his way through.
I wouldn't do that, but that's just me.
But again, that's why I said you want him to be a finished product and do what he's going to do 2 years from now. Wait.
Everybody, wait. Can we wait.
I just told you.
There is no waiting. Wait, guys. There is no waiting. There's no waiting. We weren't patient with LeBron and patient with Kobe. No. You are the great.
Because
you're supposed to be the greatest thing we've seen. So we're not waiting. Ooh. We want to see the phenomenal right now. That's the reality of it. Now, what he has to do.
The man is being coached
I heard Pop last night.
The man is being coached by one of the greatest dudes to ever sit on a bench.
Right.
And y'all want to sit up here and question the way that he's bringing him along.
No. We're not questioning the way he brings him along.
I do.
We're going to talk. We're going to have to talk about it.
I've questioned Popovich before. Remember?
I ain't questioning Pop. That's not
Parker, and it made him pretty smart. There's some Belichick going on there. There's some Belichick going on.
I don't mean to laugh, but somebody else told me that before. They didn't say Belichick, but they just said, just look at the success rate. When you lose and you get the easiest pick in the world, you got David Robinson, and all of a sudden, Tim Duncan.
Come on, guys.
No, I'm just saying.
Come on, guys.
I'm not saying that. I'm just telling you what people said to me.
Parker wasn't up there. The Kawhi Leonards, he come on now. He took some guys and made them great players.
I just said somebody told me that. That's all.
Or were they just drafted?
Kawhi still owe that man some money.
Yeah.
Well, look, in the end, I'll go back to what I said before, Michael and Skip. Let it play out.
Okay, I'm going to throw this out, and you'll say it's an unfair comparison, but once upon a time, it was a long time ago, it was even before my time, Wilt Chamberlain debuted at the Garden, and it was his first NBA game, period.
Right.
His first out of the box.
Hey.
Okay, and he had spent 3 years at Kansas, and then 1 year, because the NBA wouldn't let him come straight into pro basketball, he played for the Globetrotters for a year. I don't know if that even qualifies as pro basketball. It's not NBA basketball. And he steps on the floor at the Garden. Remember, he was the Big Dipper at 7 feet 1 inches tall. And he goes 43 and 28. Back in the day when he put up silly numbers. But he played to his size. He commanded the basketball. He demanded the He just said, you guys cannot stop me. I will dominate this game over your heads because you can't stop me.
It was a different era.
I understand, but I watched him.
They space out now. They like to shoot threes.
Okay.
They like to do those sort of things.
Yeah.
Pop, I'll go back to this again for the umpteenth time. Pop has said they're bringing him along. I didn't even know Pop said that because I didn't watch post game.
Yeah.
But I can see it with my own. I can see it with my own eyes that this is what they're doing to this young man in allowing him to understand what the NBA is. It's not France. This is how we play. This is the things that we're going to do. Then eventually you put all of it together and you get the superstar player that he's drafted to be.
Okay, but even
but the whole process is key. We were saying, and they were talking about this, is this the greatest prospect that we've ever seen? So it is fair for us to measure him up against some of the other great prospects that we've ever seen in their first time playing in a mecca like New York. That's the measurement. We're doing comparative analysis.
What about LeBron's first game at 18? Do you remember LeBron at Sacramento?
You have to take everything into consideration.
Okay, well, I took LeBron into consideration. He's 18 years old, and he steps on the floor. He didn't play college basketball because he didn't have to. He just stepped out there. And he hung, 25 on Sacramento? And I said, that's a grown man.
Okay,
right
so
there.
you have it. So now you're getting ready to tell me, what do they play, 8 games this year? Mm-hmm. So in 8 games, you haven't looked at Wemby and go, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Of course you have.
Yeah, sure. Well,
of course you have.
Yeah. Right.
But I've also looked at him more than that and said, what are you doing? Well, what are you standing out there for?
Yeah, because
you're 7'4".
I understand 7'4". I feel the same way about Anthony Davis. He ain't 7'4", but he's big enough to be down low and not shooting threes. That's the game, though, Skip. The game is shooting the threes. That's the game.
When he posts on people, you just say, that's just ridiculous. Like, he has an advantage that he is not using on a nightly basis. He has an advantage on the defensive end.
Because if he's using it on a nightly basis, he's going to get beat up.
If he just stands in the middle of the lane on defense, he is so long that he bothers shots or blocks shots, and they would be way better than the second to last defensive team. That's where they rank right now. In points allowed and defensive efficiency, they're second to last.
Right.
They got blown out last night because he's not having any real impact on the other end. You could at least do that. Again, is he?
I don't know if they were scoring. I mean, you say that they're second to last, or are they hitting shots from the outside on them, or are they hitting the shots at the rim? You got to look at it 2 different ways. If they're pulling up and hitting, Jays, and he's down low, what is that going to do for him?
Yeah, no, I got it.
Well, last night they were hitting all 3 of them, to be honest with you, because Bronson, Barrett, and Randall, they 23, 24, 25 points apiece. You know what I mean? And
last night was an off night, man. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, it's off night. I guess what we're saying, Key, is, okay, you're the big mega star that came in to America, you're taking over, you got to know where to show up. If he puts that game in Phoenix, in New York, oh, my God. That game he had in Phoenix, and I know he was going up against Durant and Booker and all of them, but it's the Mecca, New York. It's different there. You got to know when and where to show up in America. I'd have liked to see him show up in New York.
Well, that's fair. You want him to, and like I said before, maybe Skip, he walks into the stadium and it's just a different feel. You got star-studded people all on the bench. He hasn't played in a venue like that.
Although he said the building was smaller than he thought it would be because it's not that big when you walk into it.
No, it's
right.
As I said yesterday, I don't know what the hype is, but that's just me.
Well, the hype is for the opponent, not for the home team. I can tell you that. Not since 1973.
It's a beautiful place to watch a game, though, guys. It really is. The atmosphere, it's incredible. It's great. All the stars go in the back. You know, they bring all the stars in the back. I saw my girl from what is it, Law and Order. I love Law and Order. That's what I watch all the time. She was. I was in heaven.
What
I
are
was
you
in heaven.
talking about, man?
My girl from Law and Order. I love her from Law and Order.
Right.
In New York, when you go to the games, before the games, they bring all the people, all the stars, you know, Tracy Morgan, all of them in the back, and you're back there hanging out with everybody. Then you walk out on the floor. Man, hey, boy, that's the Mecca. I love being in New York for a game. It's just a great time.
Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Do you want more highlights from the show? Make sure to click that subscribe button for all the exclusive content from Undisputed.